not killing it, not exiling it, just negating that it's not a possibility actually. And then by negating self, that's the way you seem to get out of self. You don't get out of self by trying to get out of self as a self. Yeah? So what we found out is that the main dilemma here is not knowing the message, it's who's trying to know the message. That's the dilemma, yeah? If the who gets exhausted enough, the message will be known by living it, yeah? You are it. You're so past knowing it, or before knowing it, it's like adding a lot of time into something that doesn't have any time. So you are already that which you're seeking, but we're trying to get to it through a false reference, yeah? So self, which is a mental idea, you didn't have it when you were a baby. It grew as the brain grew, yeah? And it's a mental idea. Like in recovery, we say the problem resides in the mind. It doesn't reside in the elbow or the knee or anywhere else. It resides in the mind. So the mind, the mental, the small m, I call it a mental process, not mind. So in that mental process of selfing, it's constantly feeling, touching, tasting, navigating, knowing life based on you as the reference, you as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, a body. So that becomes the preset reference, and then you refer everything to that. That's the dilemma, because we're referring it to something that's not the reference. Yeah? The reference isn't locatable, it's not at some time in some place, it's not a body. Yeah? So the reference is like, the best way you can get to what the real reference is through the non-reference of everything that you've been referring from. Yes? And then you negate both of the non-reference and the reference, and it's the absence of both, that's the presence, in a sense. Yeah? So finally, the mind seems to take a long route, which isn't long, to get back to where it already is. But now it rests in itself not as a thing, not as a figure in time and space, not as a thing that needs to know other things, but as all there is, by realizing all you're not. Yeah? That's to me is the quickest way, because it's no way.
What a relief.
It's a great relief, because there's no way. And there's no way any movement reference from self will ever get to that. Because all of it is basically every movement towards it is really a movement away from it. Because it will be self trying to go towards its mythical conceptual idea of the big self or the authentic self. That's all in a mental state. It's not in beingness. It's not in the absence of everything. It's in the presence of things. So I came out of recovery. So recovery was like one of the first doors that opened. And there wasn't a me, but we have this language, this subjective language used by objects, yeah. So, and you have to go through so much time to cut out the I, the she, the he, the me, it's way too much. I knew a guy who wanted to start a new language, and he's probably still at it because it's just way too. It's like getting stuck in the trees and missing the forest, So. It's the way we're in Rome, and you do as the Romans do. So here you are. So I was occupied by what I call a parasite, in a sense, a mental one, called alcoholism. And so it used me for transportation and for expression. So it took me where it wanted to go, and maybe and all the time it was taking me to where it wanted to go, I was framing it as I'm a unique, special, down and dirty, bad person. No one thinks like I do. No one feels like I do. No one's done the heinous things I've done. It was like closing, like rolling a big rock to the anus so the self could stay up with the ass of self. You know what I mean? Put a big rock there, never to be resurrected. I can't be contacted. You don't understand me. And then I went to recovery, and a lot of people are at the meetings who suffer from the same parasite, and they share their thoughts, their feelings, and their reactions to life. And after a little while, I had to realize, how could they have my thoughts unless they're not my thoughts? Unless they're not my feelings? Unless they're not my actions? Actually, they seem to be widespread. What I was thinking to be terminally unique is quite a run-of-the-mill, broken down Pinto alcoholic Ford, so to speak. But I'm thinking I have this emblem of a unique Cadillac, only one made, driving around just like any other Ford drives around. So I'm thinking it's a great builder built this car, so only one model. No, it's a run-of-the-mill Ford, So I go to the meetings of recovery, and they're like Ford factories, and then people talk about what it's like to be a Ford. I go, Jesus Christ, I'm a Ford. Yeah, but that's the beginning point. The beginning point is to realize, Jesus, I'm a Ford, and then you take it a little farther. I'm a Ford, and how could that possibly freaking be? Yes? And then through negating the Ford, first you identify with the Ford, and then there's a negation of the Ford. Not from the Ford. See, if the Ford tries to negate the Ford, that's trying to get out of self. There's a negation of the Ford by the mind. So the mind negates it, yeah? And now your reference just gets corrected in a way. And then almost like miraculously, you start seeing blue is blue and red. Things start making sense in a different way that you could never have held before. And then you realize all your gauges and barometers of how to navigate here are still based on the old system. When I work with people in recovery, I tell them, do a bare bone inventory. Just write down when you woke up, took a shower, had a cup of coffee, went to work, went to lunch, went to the gym afterwards, watched the movie, this and that. And then do it for a week and just see what actually happened in the action figure life, and then just sense the narration that was going on about that. At the gym, you're not doing enough, or some insane thing. There's a huge narration over what's actually happening, and our attention and interest isn't based, and our feeling of what we are isn't based on what's happening. It's based on the narration. You see, that's the selfing, and that narration doesn't have any respect. You don't think it's going to land on a 3,000-year-old spiritual tradition? You better freaking believe it. It's whatever it's hovering over, it's going to claim, and it's going to narrate it. So you're narrating you're not enough in like the corporate world. You'll be narrating you're not enough in the spiritual world. Yeah, you're not enough in the physical world. You didn't work out hard enough. You didn't meditate much for long enough. It's the same. It just varies a little bit of the story, but it's the same theme constantly. And so it distracts you because really its true negation is in the moment. And it's not even a moment, it's the moment. There's only what's happening. Yeah? There may be tons of filming going through it, but there's only the space it moves through. So that's what's happening. That's where the selfing does not want to stop, because it immediately gets negated before any negation. It's because it's absolutely not needed. You know what I mean? If I'm having a bad day, I know I'm having a bad day. I don't have to wait till tonight to have it tell me, oh, you had a bad day, Paul. You should have a drink, or fuck them, or I'm going to quit. Wait a minute. Why did it take me 9 hours of tons of information to come up with that when I was in the day? Oh, maybe I wasn't in the day, seemingly. Aha! So now I'm living in interpretation instead of actually having my conscious pulse being felt in living. And you know what happens? Woo! Tons of stuff. The mental shenanigans that can go on with that little bit of interruption of what's happening into what's happening to me. It's the difference between night and fucking day. A night and day. And then part of the narration is you want to get back to the day, but you want to get back there tonight. It's sort of like the darkness wanting to get to the light. What happens? It's never going to experience the light as the darkness. The darkness will be seemingly extinguished or revealed never to be so when it comes near the light. So it has a story, oh, I want to find the light. It has no intention of finding the light. It wants to work hard at finding the light. It will meditate for 20 years to find the light, but it doesn't want to find the light. It only wants to find the light as the darkness, and that cannot possibly happen. If the darkness meets the light, there ain't no darkness. So that's the last thing it wants to do. That was one of the biggest revelations in my head. I just wanted to want to be free. I didn't want to be free because I wanted that to be there when it got good, that which I'm not. Every time I got on another trip, spiritual, anything else, that was the first bag I put in. All right, put it in here. It's my carry-on bag. You know, maybe I'll not take another one, but I'm carrying that on everywhere I go. Because I want to be there to have an experience of what's always so. Which can't. You are having an experience of what's always so right now, appearing as this. You can't have an experience of what's so on the experiential level. It doesn't. It's not available to you. That's the greatest news of the message. And it's not. Some people here have logged a lot of hours at satsangs and stuff. I mean, and there's still hope beyond hope that they're going to get it someday, maybe. But it's not so. You can't get it. You can't have it. You can't get it. Therefore, you can't lose it, which is great. See, you lose the mental joy of having it, but you get the mental relaxation and peace of never being able to lose it. Yeah. Now we'll do it at the end. So this is the beauty of it. So in the selfing, it wants to have it, but then it gets determined by the opposite, which it cannot escape, that it can lose it. It wants to achieve it, but once it believes it achieved it, it also believes it can unachieve it. So I got to keep doing what I got to do, which I thought produced it, which it's not produced. It just keeps wanting to add a process, you into it. Somehow I'm in there. Somehow I have something to say about it. The only reason you seem to have something to say about it is the mind is allowing that. If the mind gets tired of this little pantomime, it wakes up to what? Its own nature, which is wakefulness or awareness. It's not some kind of achievement or some kind of addition. It's basically the interest and attention leaves this fabricated foreground, and then the background, which has been so completely forgotten, seemingly, moves to the foreground. And now you're aware. Now, the seeing isn't just all like this, looking. It goes both ways. You're seeing into that space, and then you're looking, because that's what the action figure is built to do. The action figure is built to see things. It perceives things. It doesn't perceive space. That's not in its reservation. That's not in its jurisdiction. So when you attempt to use what's looking to find what's seeing, it's not going to work. It's the losing interest in the what's looking, the what's looking, and that's the seeing. And then it's always been that seeing. Even though all the times you thought you were busily looking, it was seeing. It was the seeing. It's never not been. Yeah? All your huffing and puffing, there's no houses it can blow down. Yeah? It just seems to be. And the word here is very important, seemingly, because it appears to be true or false to us. Incredible word, because everything is seemingly so, based on our condition, not on its condition. Its condition, we give it its meaning. So if I'm feeling shitty, something's a problem. I feel good the next day, it's not a problem. I feel shitty, it's a problem again. How does it shift that quickly into this and that? No. My mind is split, so it sees it this way or that way based on what I think my condition is. And if my condition is a physical apparatus in time, my condition is going to be very volatile and agitated. I can't swear what I'm going to be like 5 minutes from now. I know everything. Like this minute, 3 minutes later, I'm in a deep depression. Things change. It's like Jesus said, it's like trying to build a house on sand. It's insane. There's nothing wrong with moving into a house, but the foundation. So when I see, it's so freaking obvious we're awake. It's so obvious we've been in every moment we've ever been in. We've not missed a damn fucking thing here. Now we may not remember it. We may not have it as a picture. We may not go to it all the time. Not one thing has escaped our attention. The attention we are. Not one freaking thing. So like this thing with Wei Wu Wei, it can get a little conceptual. So like Ramana Maharshi says about the guy who's got his foot's bothering him, so he stops, he takes the shoe off, and he sees there's a thorn in his foot. So what does he do? He looks around for another thorn. He digs the first thorn out. He doesn't replace the first thorn with the second thorn. He throws both of them away. That's what we're doing here in a sense. We're seeing, all right, what seems to be the root cause of our agitation, seeming agitation, of our disruption, with our not feeling that great, with our having an irritability, restlessness, and discontent. Yeah? Okay, so maybe it is this idea of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity that's constantly being reinforced and pointed at by all the faculties of the apparatus, because all the faculties have been claimed, and this is their chore. So the thoughts are held as yours, feelings are held as yours, so they're always pointing at this imaginary you. The mind sees all this pointing, and it makes the leap into what's pointed at. It has a body to go, okay, it's the body. I couldn't come up with anything else, so here I am. So every time there's a thought, and it's my thought, it's held as I'm somehow doing it as a body, or I'm in a body. But even the idea that you're a spirit in the body, the main reference is the body. It's not the spirit. So it's always being the reference point. And it's very difficult to get out of it as it. Yeah? So self can't get out of self. It's such an incredible statement. It can save you so much time and effort. Self can't get out of self. The mind cannot seek the mind. Light cannot seek the light. The Buddha cannot seek the Buddha. It's pointless. They're the Buddha. It's the light. It's the mind. All seeking for itself is a weird way of seemingly losing it. Something that's impossible to lose, you can seem like you've lost it in 80 years. You can. I think we're all an example of that expression. A seeming loss of what we are, and here we go. You know, I'm looking for you to save me, or you to save me, or you to save me, or not this anymore. It's failed miserably. You to save me, Ramana or something to save me, because I'm up shit's creek a lot of ways. So instead of realizing I'm that which I'm looking for, because I can't realize it as what's looking. I can't get it. The reference of what's looking for everything cannot find what it truly needs. That's its dilemma. It thinks it can find like that store with that super jacket it wants, and maybe it will. It can find that internet that has those shoes on sale for $20. Maybe it will. If he'll find that arcane book that was out of print and he finds a copy on the internet, yeah, but you ain't going to find this. You can't apply the gauges, the barometers, the measuring sticks of our mental condition to find what's not of a body, not of a thing, has no freaking qualities. If the closest thing you can say is like, it's void of any quality and of any thingness. And then it's void of non-thingness and non-qualities. Just negate, so you're oh, Jesus, I'm fucking exhausted. And whoa, I just noticed I had a great afternoon. What day is it? What happened? Oh fuck, I don't want to do that. The dog whistle of time. Oh, I gotta get out, go. Got to accrue value. When someone sees me tonight, I said, I did a talk, try to help people. I didn't overeat this morning. I got up right away. And my intention was set. I'll be of help to everyone I meet today. I mean, that mental accountant fucking just don't even fire it. Just close the door. Just close the door. The lock is on the outside where you are. Just keep him in there. He'll keep sending you memos. You're not doing enough. I've added up all your practices. You're fucking lacking, bro. You've only done one retreat this year, and it was a soft one. Get on it. Get on common ground. Look it up. Look at what's on offer. 800 seminars. All right, okay. And okay, yes, got to get up. Why? I don't know. It just tells me, and I get up. Ooh, the day will be bad unless you get up. Oh, hey. It's like, what is that but playing God? Some mental state which has absolutely no power, but the power you give it is lording it over you right now. There's a solution, you know. Just question. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't even think about it. So, but if you start having that sense of being, and your attention gets established there, it's the greatest insurance policy of all here. Because there's so much volatility in things and people and conditions and circumstances and emotions and thoughts and, you know, world politics. There's so much volatility, so much stuff can go on, which would disrupt whatever sense of security you seem or you think you may want or have. And so you're constantly like a mother hen sitting on that egg, hoping it'll, you know. It's like a form of slavery. And you can't seem to be unchained from that because your beingness is based on conditions, you know. I've got to get my mental state right, my emotional state, physical. I just left Mill Valley. There's more work outfits walking around. Probably never go to the fucking gym. They're wearing them all day. They either look like they're going to the gym or they just left the gym. It's just like, yeah, it's fine. It's good to get the body thing, but it's just another failed thing that try to get somewhere. Yeah, the body. You know, like this. They had that incredible magazine article years ago where there's all these experts on these basic topics in life and how they died. And so the guy who was like a juicing expert got killed by a coconut, fell off a tree. And then this lady who wrote books about how to die nobly, she went out kicking and screaming. You know what I mean? Every one of them was shown you can't take a position, in a way. You're just asking for fucking trouble. I mean, as soon as you take a position, the other stuff's going to come your way. This is like flowing with water. Water's smart. Not one little bit of water ever stands up and says, I'm water. It's just everything is going along. Just flowing. Something in its way, it either goes around it or erodes it. It just goes. Why not go with the flow, so to speak? Why? Now I'm putting my fucking mental foot down. I don't want it to be this way. Oh, good luck. You know? Submit your suggestion to reality. See if it gives a shit about your opinion. It doesn't. You know, hey, I want this to stop. I had dysentery in Laos once. You know, Laos? The worst, any dysentery is bad, but this was a very severe, special type of dysentery. And I was stuck in a city called Luang Prabang, and I had to wait 2 days to fly to Vientiane, and then 2 days more to fly back to Chiang Mai, Thailand, which I was familiar with. And I swear, I was in this room, and I kept saying, I can't take anymore, and more kept coming. I mean, I must have broke down like 20 times. And I was trying to distract myself, so I had the TV in the room on, and it was the Lao Parliament, you know, debating something in Laotian. And I just was trying to watch it. It's just like my attention was just in the body condition, everything pouring out. I had cold sores on my whole ear. I lost about 30 pounds. I was angry at Buddha because I was a Buddhist at the time. Fuck you, Buddha. I mean, the other two people that went to deal with me didn't get sick at all. What happened? Someone must have doped the water because they did that. You buy bottled water and it ain't bottled water. I must have drank it. It was like hell. And I would have done anything. If there was a beer in that little fucking mini refrigerator, I probably would have drank it if there wasn't any. And it was like hell, and I just kept asking it. No fucking mercy. 1 bit. It was like someone running me over like 40 times. I know you driving. He just running me over. This is what happens. Surrender. Yeah, surrender. Surrender. If you believe you're going to be at the very moment of this life and you're going to be aware, you may be really, really surprised when you're not. Because that is... The mental interpretation of what's happening is on a time delay. If your life has been told, navigated, held as an interpretation, you're going to miss that moment when this ends. Yeah? Let's say you've been practicing for 30 years to be at that bus station when the bus of death comes, and you'll miss when the doors open because you'll be thinking, when's the bus coming? And then you'll be dead. Yeah. The mental state is a process in time. You're missing what's going on. And in that void of missing what's going on, it informs you what's been going on from the past. An imaginary fucking story projected over this moment into a future. So your interest and attention just gets stretched like Turkish taffy out of here, which is more than enough to handle a day, and then also be quite aware of awareness. It's more than enough. It's now stretched like into time. So you're so concerned that this will never happen again, what you thought happened, and you're so worried what's going to happen. Is it going to be like I don't want to happen? Yeah? That your interest and attention is so dispersed, you're not even, in a sense, here. We're like vertical coffins in a way. We're walking around like storage units. Not life. All the windows are closed. No wind is blowing through it. Just past little echoes projecting a future fear. On and on and on and on and on. That's why we're driven to watch Die Hard 8 or fucking, see the same person even though we know it's not working. Just because we're so fucking afraid. Yeah. That's what any authoritarian regime is based on, fear. And you don't think the mental state is an authoritarian regime? It's totally based on fear and anxiety. It can actually produce a fearful event, but it produces anxiety about all events. Yeah? Fear is a valid emotion that arises when something demands it. But the mental state produces or mimics the physiological and the emotional effects of fear through mental activity, usually based on what's not happening. So some of us, someone said I had 49 traumatic events in this life. Fear was probably very appropriate at those times. But some of us has been buzzed 49 times already before 12 o'clock on a Saturday. Yeah? Jesus Christ. We're like electrocuted, but instead of being awake, it just dulls you out. You're so contracted, like you've been hit so many times. You're like for me, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist. 4 years of active alcoholism, my idea of success was not to be arrested. That's what it was. I was living, this giant weather front was so low over me, I just never looked up. I just ran with my running shoes of alcohol and drugs. I know it's coming. All that slavery is, and the funny, weirdest thing, it's all mimicked. It's all a pantomime. It's all a charade. And it's the audience that gives it meaning. It's never the movie that's good, it's the audience that gives it the meaning. And we're the audience to this life. Yeah, there's an action figure going on, but really, the action figure seems to be one thing moving on this linear story. We fill the whole auditorium. Yeah, we're that space that allows all of these movies to go on. Any questions today? No? Yes?
When you say
you're not going to be one of my favorites. So.
When you say to negate it, who's doing the negating?
It's not whose, it's mine, just waking up to the dream. The mental state will try to claim to be the negator, but the negating is about the mental state. That's what happens. Things occur, then the mental state arrives and says, I had something to do with it, and usually our interest attention sides with it. In negation, in a sense, you side with mind. So that which is getting negated says it's the one that's negating. You realize that's not so. Yeah. It's really where your interest and attention is. Everything is possible here. Just like people think they don't want to have this one experience, but the possibility of that experience is latently available. Anything is. But it's based on mind. If the mind wants to pull that up, it will. If it doesn't, it won't. So your freedom, in a sense, is from entertaining what's prior to all those possibilities. Yeah? That in the realm of possibility seems impossible. That's where you can rest. And then all the stuff goes on, and then all the little rabbits that used to be pulled out of the hat, instead of being a 40-minute show, it's like a 2-minute show. You know what I mean? You sit there and move on. Yeah. So yes, so there's negation. Then there's that thing like, well, who's doing negating? That's the interest of attention, trying to get back to being the negator. There is no negator, there's just negation. Yes? There's no one doing it. Yeah. All right, great. So you came all the way from New Jersey, my two friends. Is 30 minutes enough, or you want more? Jeez, I should get more. Alameda, 30 minutes is enough.
We're on the low totem pole.
What?
We're on the low on the totem pole. Way we wait and do the way we wait quotation. You're gonna read some way we wait.
The famous one?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them. The 99.9%, that one? Oh yeah, that's a good one. He says here, like, what is it? The problem? I don't know if this one has it in here. I like the last thing he says in this book, though. It says, let me remind you that the perceived cannot perceive. If you should ever come to understand the full significance of this, will you not have understood everything that needs to be understood? So, you can be perceived, therefore you're not the perceiving as the body. This is being perceived, therefore it's not what's perceiving. Yes? What's perceiving isn't a thing. It's not an action. What's negating isn't a thing doing the action of negation. Yes? It's not coming from that reference. So we believe, just because there's perception here, that we're the perceiver. That's the leap the mental state makes. Yeah? It can't produce any effects unless the mind falls for it. So the mind goes, oh yes, and then the mind has a holographic image of you as a body. So every time the pointing, that's what comes up, the point of that. So in a sense, we're remembering self. We're remembering that we're a body. Because if you're in something you really love to do, let's say an activity, usually after the day's over, you'll say, that's the greatest thing I've ever done, because you weren't there. Because you were so engaged, the life was so engaged, you didn't have the story going, oh, I'm doing this. There was just the doing of it, yeah? That's the real fluidity of living. Yeah. So the negating has no negator, the thinking has no thinker, the feeling has no feeler, the hearing has no hearer, the tasting has no taster, the teaching has no teacher. Yeah. The healing has no healer. It's the same thing. It's the freedom from the bondage of being a self, being a stationary reference that everything is being looked from, and everything is being told about. Yeah, it's instead of a huge ocean, you're taking yourself to be a couple of drops of water. Yet you're demanding to have an experience of the ocean as those couple of drops. You want to keep your separation as a wave, and yet you want to have an experience, a long-lasting experience of ocean. But what's precluding that not to be available is the waveness, not the ocean. The ocean is always available. If you see you're not the wave, what do you find out? Everyone has found out the same event. I'm the ocean. There's never not been a different conclusion. When the wave is dismissed, I'm the ocean. That's it. It goes from there to there, and it doesn't take any time to get there. There's just the negation of the wave, and there's the ocean, as it always has been, appearing as a wave, but not being a wave. It doesn't lose its beingness by appearing as a wave. It's a form being produced by time and space, and it'll be unproduced when time and space moves or changes. Yeah? There goes the wave. The wave always crests, always breaks back into the water. Always. Every time it runs up the shore, it always retreats back into itself. Yeah? We're feeling like we're Robinson Crusoe. we're ocean, but we've been exiled, and now we're like a land thing, and and we're trying to have an experience of the ocean or claim the ocean instead of realizing it never fucking happened. It was an appearance. Yeah. It'll allow you to travel lighter today, this Saturday. I don't have giant goals. All right, I met my 12:30 goal. Now I got my 1:30 goal, 2:30 goal, 3:30. How am I doing? Oh, you're doing pretty good. 4 out of 5. Keep going. 8, 9. Can I watch a movie at night? Yeah, you've been pretty good, Paul. Jesus, I feel like a fucking dog. What the hell am I listening to? This insane master. Oh, I'm going to give you a couple of links on the lease tomorrow at the market. Oh, okay. I can sniff some other thing. No, that's enough. Okay. What's going on? I have people sit with me and for 10 minutes they're explaining why it's okay, that they're okay right now. All based on doing and having. They're not convinced, they're not trying to convince me, they're trying to convince themselves. They're talking, it's like, geez, I really feel like such compassion. It's like watching slavery in motion. You're just like, geez, Christ, I'm 60-something years old. When am I going to come off of probation? Parole. You know what I mean? Do I have to be watched all day? You know what I mean? When I needed to be observant, when I was out there using, I was not observant at all. Now I don't need to be observant, and the mental state wants to be hyper-observant. What was your intention? Who cares? I didn't hurt anyone. Nothing happened. I'm not sneaking in the back window to fornicate with my best friends. Oh, you know what I mean? I'm going home. Listening to music. Jesus Christ. And then nodding out or something. What did I do yesterday? It's amazing. I leave people, and then they get arrested at night. And this happened to me when I was younger. I just go home. Hang out. Enjoy peace of mind. Chill out. You know what I mean? Wake up or not wake up. Hey, listen, if you passed away, you would have never known you passed away when you're sleeping. You you passed away last night. No, you'd be passed away. So what are you worried about? You know what I mean? Oh, I missed something. There would be no missing. You're gone completely. There's no return. You're not peering back into the store. There's no return to that realm. You're gone. So. All right, that's it.